This episode of the Flusham and Dustin podcast is brought to you by Gundog Outdoors. To keep your dog safer in the field, check out gundogoutdoors.com and use code RINGNEX to save 10%.
Hi, hunters. Thank you for tuning into the Flusham and Dustin podcast brought to you by Nick and Tyler, the boys from Ringnecks and Retrievers. In this podcast, we will talk about guns, dogs, gear, and our successes and failures in the field through our combined 40 years of experience. We speak with hunters just like you from across the nation about their days in the field and the many memories they built with their friends and family. We are excited to have you listen. Now let's get to Flushing and Dustin.
Hunters, welcome back to another Flushing and Dustin podcast. Tonight we got a couple special guests with us. We got the guys behind the Hunt Ready vest. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard about it. Hopefully you've taken it to the field and have enjoyed it. We got both Jerrod and Heath here. So we're excited to have them on. If you follow along with Ringnecks and Retrievers, obviously you know we use the vest. Had a lot of great luck with it this year. It didn't help me hit all the birds, but it does help me carry the ones out that I got. So Jerrod and Heath, if you guys could introduce yourself, and we'll take it from there.
Hey guys, appreciate you having us on. This is Heath Sainer. I know we've kind of went a couple of spots here trying to get this scheduled, so appreciate the patience and working with us on that. Excited to be on the podcast and looking forward to talking about the season, talking about gear, and and unfortunately, I don't know if I can help you hit the birds, man. But, we'll see what we
I don't
can
know
do.
if anyone can.
Hey, I've tried several times. There ain't shit you can do.
Well, hey guys, I appreciate you, like he said, having us on. It's a great opportunity for us, and we just love anybody bringing content to the upland community, strengthening it. Obviously, we're very passionate about it, and so yeah, my name's Jerrod, just one of the co-founders with Heath, and as far as my excuse used to always be, well, it's my vest, and the way that it fit me is why I missed all the birds. And
You couldn't get the gun shouldered.
Right. So I went and created a vest, and yeah, I'm still missing birds. So I'm going to have to get better in the field. So
Yeah. Speaking of the vest, obviously this vest is super versatile. You can do any combination with it that you want. And the upland community was lacking some serious updates to equipment and gear to bring to the field. And last year you guys introduced it at Pheasant Fest. Can you guys give us a background of, what got you going on the vest and kind of what inspired you to bring that to the upland community?
Sure. Yeah. So, for me, both Jerrod and I grew up together. We've been buddies since like the fourth grade. We've hunted, fished, rode four-wheelers, typical, Midwest All-American boys.
Yeah.
So
And
you're gonna have to answer this later in the podcast, but who's the better hunter and the better shot? We need to know that. You guys got to be competitive, right? But anyway, keep going, Heath.
yeah. Well, I'm sure I can answer that. That won't be a problem. But so, having spent a lot of time though, hiking, camping, duck hunting, whitetail hunting, it just, it seemed like the upland community had just been left behind, quite frankly, right? Like you go to buy mountaineering packs and they're super lightweight, yet they're extremely durable, very innovative material. Duck hunting, waders have advanced, just on and on, right?
Yep.
And we're obviously passionate hunters, but the uplands are definitely something that we're extremely passionate about. And there just came a point in time where it was, I'm sure you guys have probably had similar conversations like, man, I wish I could, find a vest that X, or I wish I could find a, how it is.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, Tyler's constantly saying, I wish I could find a gun that hits something, but I always tell him it's him.
there's that too, but that was really kind of what, that was at least what sparked it, right?
Yep.
And then, well, I mean, I'm not, so I don't want to mention other like vests or whatever, but because there's some solid options out there. I don't, but
Yours is the best.
we'd like to think that we're at least competitive, right?
So I'll throw this
Absolutely.
out there. So if you guys don't want to name other vests, I bought your guys' right, and everybody is like, man, you got to try the Chief Upland. You got to try it, right? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to purchase it and see. Sometimes I was thinking, maybe in Iowa it's super cold. It's a little thicker vest. Maybe when it's nice and cold, that'd be a nice one to throw on. I took it out to the field and got a rooster. And for the love of God, I could not get that thing in the pouch. Like, it was so small. I don't know if I had something wrong with it.
Well, I mean, remember, Tyler can't normally hit shit, so he's not used to putting birds in a pouch.
I fit 4 birds in the Hunt Ready one this year one time, and that fit well. Seriously, I had issues fitting the bird in. Other than that, I mean, that vest was fine. I don't want to throw, trash at any other vest, but just speaking of it, it was hard to fit that one rooster in there, and I really, like I said, enjoyed your guys' vest is awesome for the upland community.
I appreciate that. So, and we certainly, spent a lot of time. So, I guess back up a little bit, right? And one of the things that, in the field, when we first kind of started throwing around the idea and talking to buddies that hunt and, even ourselves, it became apparent, well, Jerrod likes, certain types of pockets, right? Like a little bit smaller buckles. I prefer more of the rail pouch style on one side. And, it just became apparent that you weren't going to come out with one vest, right? So that's where we ended up with, all right, we got to figure out whether or not we can come up with something that is configurable, right? That's customizable. And obviously going, back to the fact that we felt like we needed to bring some of the, technology and innovations that the other markets had already, right, received, if you will. That's what led us down that path, right, to come up with our own vest. And so we started thinking through that, right? Okay, well, who does configuration well, and that kind of led us down the path of military, if you will, tactical market.
Yep.
That then led us down the path of kind of the standard MOLLE webbing, but there's some there are some drawbacks to that a little bit. Just simply going down that path. And so when we got connected up with First Spear, First Spear's patented system allows us to not only use their technology, right, with the tabs and the
Yep.
hook and loop type, Velcro type material, but also it is backwards compatible with the standard MOLLE webbing, right? And so, because we didn't really want to pursue something that was going to be, well, you have to buy our vest and you have to buy our pockets and you have to buy our accessories, right? Like, it allowed guys and gals, right, to, well, as an example, like we've had a number of, servicemen and women buy our vest, and they just buy the base, foundation. They may buy a pouch or two of ours, but then they've got, some stuff left over or stuff they're using in the military that they can swap back and forth. And so that was kind of what led us down that path of creating a vest with that configurability and customization capabilities. And then it was, like I don't know, it was like, what, Stu, probably 4 years worth of trial and error and field testing.
Man,
and
that's crazy.
Yeah. I think just to kind of echo a little bit about what he's talking about. First of all, when you're hunting in the uplands, you're going to have a lot of windshield time. I mean, anybody that's serious about it knows how much time you're spending to pick up, and you come up with some crazy stuff. But I will say, uh, yeah, we were. I think the moment that it really became real to me is, from the get go, was just saying, hey, we got to design something with just, again, maximum configurability, modularity. These were all words that we kept pitching out there. And I think we were kind of standing around after a hunt one day, and we had some prototypes on some guys, and we're getting really close to what we feel like was going to be the final production model. And I'm just sitting there and I'm taking notes. I'm like, yep, this is exactly what we're missing, because everybody's vest here is different. It's set up different. Sainer's a lefty. I mean, he's all kinds of screwed up, I mean, he's
I'm a
getting
lefty.
popped in the face with on automatic shotguns, all kinds of stuff. So I'm just sitting here going, this is it. This has got a lot of traction, I think, in the market. Everybody's unique. You're going to have to provide something. But again, to your earlier comments, like, I also know that, while we try to create something that's flexible enough that everybody can find, their right fit, I'm probably not going to create something that just absolutely appeals to absolutely everybody. I'd love to, but
Yep.
the
There's no
reality
way
is that,
that'll happen.
right, exactly. And which is why you have a lot of competitive options and various things. And you find the guys that are just that are the traditionalists that love the old school jackets and stuff. And every once in a while I like to put it on too, and it's cool, but I just don't want to
Hey,
go on long
I
trips
still
and stuff like
have
that.
I still hunt with the old, like, it's from Tyson's. I'm sure you guys are aware of Tyson's, but basically it's a parachute on the back, so I can hold 100 birds in it if I want. So everybody gives me those birds to haul around. But then when I hunt with Tyler, then I don't haul anything. So I mean, it's give take, right?
I remember last year we were talking, right? It was right before Pheasant Fest, and I think I saw you guys. You did a little hints of what was coming out, and I think I was talking to you, Nick, or I was talking. So I have a law enforcement background, so I was like, man, if it'd just be nice for a vest to have Molly on it, because like I said, you got attachments, you can attach basically anything you want to it,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden Pheasant Fest pops up and your guys' vest launches, and I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, this is awesome, and it's the one thing that I like is, so we got water bottles from Gundog Outdoors.
Yeah.
Those can attach right to the Molly. So I have
Mhm.
2 of those on for the dogs, and then they have a first aid kit that can attach right to that Molly. And so, like you said, you don't have to use per se your guys's attachments for everything.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
versatile. You can go to 511 store or something, and buy a pouch from them. You can go for. I bought that little camera mount.
Yeah.
I can't think of who
Is
sold
it Peak
that.
Design?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I never actually carried my camera on it this year, but I got it for, next year, hopefully carry the camera around. But, that's pretty awesome how you guys, 4 years in the making, and, you're able to come up with something that's just.
So obviously you don't need to go in complete depth on this, because I know it's kind of your own patent thing or whatever. But how does that idea go? And then what is if you can skate around it, how does that idea go to a manufacturer to make something like this? Like, I've always wondered that, like, if I wanted to make something, you don't have to give any names out, but what does that look like? If you can
Sure.
kind of elaborate on that in a sense, I guess, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah. And I do want to go back though, Tyler, to what I would like to get a little insight on the Gundog Outdoors stuff, just how you like it, how it works. I've had some guys ask, so we can circle back to that. But
Yeah, we'll reach out. Yeah.
let me try and answer that. So in terms of like manufacturing, in full transparency, Jerrod and I have careers in technology and software, and just a totally non like fabric manufacturing, type industry. There's, I would say there's probably goods and, there's pluses and minuses to that. Like one of them, we didn't come in with any preconceived notions. Like, it's just like, hey, can we do this? Like, like, how do we do this? How do you do that? We want to accomplish this. So we didn't have any of those like mental barriers. Like, it was just, there was no box for us. Like it was just, hey, we got this idea, you know. Now we also, on the flip side of that, had to come up to speed on different types of fabric, types of thread, types of, you know, like
Man,
all of that. So, which again,
So
either
it's like the whole process. You don't just say, hey, we're thinking of this. You got to actually go through and say, this type of fabric feels the best to me. This feels the best to me. We like these, you know, you guys got the straps. We like these straps. We like these
Right.
buckles. Like, so it's like you completely designed every inch of this vest.
So like, I mean, basically, you know, you kind of get an idea. Okay, this is what we're thinking. Like we want, as Jerrod said, modularity, customization, right? All of that. You know, at the highest level, you know, you start out with, here's like 6 different vests, or I don't know, crap, dude. Stu, I don't know, we probably have 20 vests, right? That we've tried, and you know, well, we like this on that, we don't like, you know, like
Yeah.
the more of that you can take to the table when you do identify the manufacturer, you know, or a cut and sew shop or whatever.
Yep.
You know, that helps to kind of zero in, right? But then, you know, to be very honest with you, like I sat down for I don't know how many hours and like just hand sketched, like drew stuff, and you know, I'd scan it, email it to Jerrod, and he'd, you know, mark it up and give me, you know, and we, you know, we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on all of that. And then, you know, the key for us was really finding that technology that allowed the customization or the modularity, right? We knew we were kind of zeroing in on the Molly system, if you will, right, in
Mhm.
general.
Yep.
And then was just fortunate to make the connections with First Sphere, and they've been great. Good group of guys and gals that we've been working with there. They're based out of St. Louis, or just outside of St.
Nice.
Louis.
It
And
just gets me amped up, like just thinking the preparation that you know. So I'm in sales, so I always think about preparation before going to meetings, and I'm always like, oh, what am I going to pitch? So like thinking of like the stages that you went through and how those came along. It's pretty
it's
exciting.
pretty wild, man. Yeah,
It is pretty wild.
I'll fully admit there were times where it was like, I don't know, like, is this like, you know, like, you
I'm
know,
sure 4
are we
years in the
actually
making.
ever going to have a vest we can put on? Like, you know, like I'm tired of drawing this stuff, right?
Hey, the saying of 10% idea, 90% execution. I mean, we live that out fully.
Yeah,
That's
100%.
crazy.
It's a grind. I mean, I'm not gonna, you know, make it, it is a grind. You're gonna have to say, like, you're gonna keep knocking on doors and people are gonna slam in your face, like, who are these cats? Like they've lost their loving mind, you know, and I think there was that moment again where you know, it really was a godsend when we connected with First Spear and we're just like these are people that get exactly what we're after, and you know, they're filling in the gaps where we might have like you know some you know skill gaps or whatever the case might be. So
Yep.
it was really a
Yep.
match made in heaven. They loved our passion, they could see through it, and then they said, like, we can help you build this thing, and you know, we got some stuff that we're willing to let you guys use too. So it really was a great marriage of, you know, our idea and just our passion, and you know, then having them to back us with a lot of their, you know, expertise and military and all different branches of services. So it was
Yeah,
great.
I was
You
gonna
know,
say, for those that don't know, like that might be listening, right? First Spear, they manufacture gear for law enforcement and military agencies around the world.
Mhm.
So, you know, like, you know, plate vests, you know, very well. I mean, you know, you can look at their website, but I mean, they've got like a ton of stuff.
Everything tactical you can think of.
Right,
Yeah.
100%. Pretty cool stuff. And so that, you know, they don't compete in like the outdoor industry,
yep.
you know. So it really was pretty cool. You know, this is a story I tell once in a while. You know, we're during the first meeting, we're sitting down at the table, and one of the lead designers, you know, is there, and the lady that we work with primarily in terms of manufacturing schedules and all that. But the guy, that the designer, right, that we work with on prototyping things out and all that, about halfway through the meeting, he's like looking at me and he was like, "Hey, did you play football for so and so back in, whatever?" "Yeah, man, I knew it. We played each other in the playoffs, and
What?
it's just wild, So
So who'd you play football for? You can't leave us out
no,
now.
no. I don't want to go down that path, but those are the glory days, man. I'm not gonna go there. But what was cool though is like that kind of a relationship, right? Is what you hope for, or at least what I think Jerrod and I had hoped for in a partner, right? Because
Yep.
it's not it's
Absolutely.
not just okay, we want to order X number of vests and all this. It's like, I can pick up the phone call and be like, "Hey man, how's your kid doing? How was deer season for you?" And have those types of conversations as part of, quote unquote business, right? And so anyway, it's been a good experience, and we're stoked to have them, as one of our key.
And I'll just kind of back some of the things that you both said. Since Tyler and I got into the podcast and I guess the Instagram game, if you will, I have found more people to be more friendly, more helpful, wanting you to succeed. And I feel like that's how Tyler and I have always been. We've always wanted people, "Hey, I'm not getting on birds. Oh, we got a good public land spot down here,
Right.
Help people out, get them on birds. We want to keep going." And I didn't find that before when we weren't doing this, honestly. Before, when I felt like we were just, and we're common folk, but before the podcast and before Instagram, everybody's so private. No. But now it's like, "Oh, hey, do you guys want to come and hunt with us?" And it's like, it's kind of crazy that people kind of open up when you have a passion and you show that. And it doesn't seem like it's that way when you don't have a platform, which is kind of weird to me, I guess.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. That is interesting. I really haven't thought about it. I will be honest though. When Jerrod and I, years ago, right, started talking about all this, and all those years leading up to all of this, the one thing that I never really even considered, I think maybe it was because we were so tunnel visioned, right, on just design and going back and forth with prototypes and field testing, and we got to get this right, we've got to tweak that, was how many people, to your point, right, that it would just you just meet along the way and get
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
friends you'd make, and and I don't know, like I've even like numerous people that don't have a, I don't, quote unquote platform, if you will,
Yep.
I don't know, man, it's just been really cool. Like we've met some really cool
It is super cool.
people, and had some amazing hunts, and have been able to even give some advice to some folks that are just getting into the game, and that's really cool to get a text in
Yep.
the middle of an afternoon and be like, "I got my first bird," like, I don't know, it's
Yep.
that was just something, I guess it's kind of taken me off, I just never had anticipated it. So I think the more we can
Us too,
encourage people to use it for the good, right,
Yep.
the better.
Yep. And I think one of the highlights for Tyler and I, this was back a year ago, when we first started this. A couple months in, just started the podcast. We get an email from a gentleman down in Missouri. I believe he was, right, Tyler? Yeah, he was in Missouri.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
he asked us about helping him pick out his first pup. And I'm like, I'm no dog ass. Like, we have dogs. We work with them. We're not professional trainers by any mean, but for you to listen to what we're doing in the field, look at our content, and to trust us to pick out a dog, and we ended up helping him make a decision, and I think he went with the right way. And I think it was a spaniel of some sorts is what we ended up coming up with for that gentleman. So, we're ringnecks and retrievers, but that doesn't mean that a retriever is right for you. We want what's best
Sure.
for you. So it is very cool. Like you sit back and you think of the journey. It's like, We just helped this guy pick out his first dog.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
That's
So,
pretty remarkable.
Serious topic to tackle with
Oh.
with somebody. You better get it right.
yeah,
So we actually
it's a big commitment.
It was. So we actually pulled them on and did a Zoom call, not recorded, obviously, but Tyler and I both wrote down a list of things that we look for, what we like. We kept talking to him and had him take notes. And at the end of it, it was like an hour session. And he's like, "All right, I think this is the way I'm going to go." So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
So you guys, this is your first year, obviously, in full production with the vest, and first full hunting season. How'd you guys' hunting season go? First season with the vest.
And what's your favorite part about the vest?
So technically, it's not our first season.
Yeah, true. With the first season in production of the vest.
Yeah, first industry, open to the industry. Sure. Yeah. I definitely want Stu to get to weigh in, his thoughts and things. But for me, I think, I've been extremely humbled just by the overwhelming support. And I don't just mean people that have bought the vest. I mean people that, may have a competitor's vest, but still took the time to say, guys, that's awesome. Glad you are pushing the envelope forward for the upland community. And I respect that. I mean, our vest isn't going to speak to everyone, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay, right? But I think if it's that whole, if the sea rises, all the ships rise, right? And we collectively as a community do need to push it forward, right? And appeal to the next generation. And I'll, I'm not, again, I don't want to call names out, but I have had a chance to talk directly with some of our, what I would consider key competitors, and good dudes, like, hey, congrats, man, you made it. It's I know what it takes to get there, and want to wish you the best. And if you're ever in my way, let's hunt together. Let's take a picture, with each other in our vests and throw it out there and just have fun with it, And so for me, it's been pretty humbling, like, because you just don't know, going in, you're putting yourself out there, setting aside the financial investment, right, for a little bit, just to, you're putting yourself out there. I mean, you guys know, you start a podcast, you're trying to, make your mark, right?
Absolutely.
And so that I think for me, that first season, that's what I would say is it's been pretty cool. It's been a cool ride so far.
And I want to piggyback off something you said there, Heath, and that is, not everybody's going to like what you came out with, which I think is so true in life. And for you to be able to bring that to the table, I think that helps you be even more successful.
Appreciate that.
I really do. I think that's a big key in your success. 9 out of 10 people are going to love you, and that one person isn't going to like it. That's the way it goes. And if you're okay with that, you'll be successful.
That's why it's a free market economy. There's
Absolutely.
options, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's the blessing of being in America.
So I do want to interrupt and ask Jerrod. I mean, you look like if you're not watching, folks, Jerrod looks like he's in an office. Looks like he's got filing cabinets around him. Like, dude's in business right now, and it's 8:00 at night. Do you got a vest in that office that you can show?
I'm sorry, I do not. I got one in my pickup truck, so I could run out and grab it. Loaded up, ready to go, just in case the field.
Hold on. There you go.
How's that?
Oh, there they are. There they are.
How's that?
That's perfect. That's perfect.
What'd you guys do with all your prototypes?
We still have them. We're hanging on to those.
Nice.
It's funny too, because for the first 6 months or so of the year, I wore one of our prototypes because we had all these back orders to fill, and I didn't want to, like, mine didn't even have our logo on it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, 'cause logo's unimportant on a prototype. And so I was hitting the field without any kind of hunt ready anything, just, and just, to make sure we filled filled all the pre-orders and everything first and all that.
The
But yeah, we'll
best that
keep those.
remains unnamed.
Yeah, and I think Jerrod's still got one that doesn't have all the features even. So it's just that's how it goes.
In
But
memory lane.
yeah,
Yeah.
I do want Jerrod to kind of weigh in on the first season and get his thoughts because he's probably got a different perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a wild ride, guys, and I echo what you're saying too. Just the community in general has been very supportive. I don't know that I anticipated that, going into this deal. I think what he talks about tunnel vision, part of me is like, you know, don't want this to sound cocky or arrogant, but it's like I really don't care what people think. But at the same time, it's like it's nice when somebody comes along and says, hey man, great job, like keep doing what you're doing, you guys are trying to do it the right way, and that's the only way that we want to do business anyways. I mean, we want to be extremely fair and provide a great value for people. But I think that, man, I just think that leading up to Pheasant Fest, it was kind of like I remember being in the truck on the way up there. It was just like it's almost like just this crazy, like it's almost like that girl that you scored a date with in high school or something. And you're like, I can't believe this is actually happening, and it's like, so that was, kind of a surreal moment. And I think, when we went to Pheasant Fest, again, nobody knew who we were. I mean, we kind of disguised it that way. And you'd mentioned earlier, like Heath was throwing out some teasers on social
Yeah.
and try to perk up, some interest to, maybe 300, 400 followers or whatever it was at the time. And,
Dude, I purchased it the day it came out.
I got to give a shout out. Oh, but it was just like immediately is like, okay, we're here. And then all of a sudden, I just don't know what happened, but it's just like the word got out and then our booth just blew up. And, Heath's known me my whole life. I'm an introvert. I'm a deep thinker type guy. I like the uplands because I get alone and disconnect from people, and I can, it's just good for me. I talked more in that weekend than I probably talked the rest of 2020. No lie. And and so the funny thing is like we even had Heath's cousin over there. He hunts with us. He's part of the Hunt Ready crew, and so I'm like, if Kelly was, what are we thinking? Like, we're absolutely clueless. If Kelly wouldn't have been there, he would have, he was helping us. I mean, we just had people. But the coolest thing was we sold a vest, and a gentleman, I don't want to botch his last name. I think it was Goski or Goski, something like that. I probably screwed that up big time. But he was definitely, I think he was Army. And
Yeah, he was.
he pinged us on Instagram, and he had got his vest home, put on some of his kit, and outfitted his vest, had his name on it, and then had his dog on the tailgate. And it just like hit me. I was like, holy cow, this is real. Like
Yep.
it's just a cool feeling. And it's kind of one of those deals where you kind of dreamt for that day. Just excited to get it out there into the public. And so I would say, even though we knew nothing about what the vest was going to do in the marketplace at that time, it was just a really cool, surreal feeling, something great to be a part of, to expose it to really a concentrated group of like-minded individuals at Pheasant Fest, where you're exposing yourself, like Heath said. Like, I mean, we might walk away from here and just get completely hosed on this deal, but people received it well. We're just super thankful for that.
Yep.
It reaffirmed all the things that we had seen through the years when we were just struggling to kind of find the right thing for us. And so to feel like, okay, we at least we hit a nerve with the community in a good way. And so I was really pleased coming away from Pheasant Fest.
I completely understand what you're saying. I mean, ours would be a little bit different, but actually, I just figured this out a couple weeks ago. I'm not very tech savvy on Instagram or anything like that, but we have people that are always like tagging us in posts, and I didn't know where the hell that was at. Well, the other day I finally found it, and I told Tyler, I'm like, man, this is pretty cool. People are actually like tagging us in post. So I had like my surreal moment, after a year, just a couple weeks ago, like, oh shit, this is pretty cool. So I completely understand that.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, Nick is probably the least tech savvy.
I'm all
Right.
about getting out there, and I'm very much a people person. You can probably tell I love to talk in sales, obviously. So I'm constantly in front of people, and I work with doctors. So I like entertaining and that sort of thing. I'd much rather not even deal with my phone, or for that matter, even have social media. But here we are.
So I mean, it works though, because Tyler's running social media and you're shooting the birds, right?
I mean, that's
right.
what happens.
So, I
That's
mean,
what
you know,
happens.
He needs to wear the camera instead of me, because I have to delete half my footage because I missed the bird, so it sucks anyways. But
and Jared's in the office counting beans, and I'm at home hanging out with the dogs and drawing vests. Like, it just, teamwork makes the
funny.
dream work. So.
That's right. You
Oh,
gotta have
it
different.
completely does, and I can tell your dynamic. Heath, you're definitely outgoing and ready to talk, and Jerrod, you look like you're writing a song over there, not going to talk to anybody.
Easy now. I'm one of those. Got a few friends that we like to. They're lifelong friends. I'm just real selective. So
That's right.
That's the way to do it.
So you guys obviously had, the orange vest come out, then you did the coyote tan.
Yep, with the Ranger green.
Yep. Do you guys? You don't have to say anything if you got something in the works you don't want to, but are there future plans for expansion of the Hunt Ready brand?
Certainly. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, we're we've continued to listen to the market. We have a number of folks now that are putting the vest through the paces, and hey, boy, it'd be sweet if we had this type of pouch, or can you tweak this? And because the bottom line, like, as much as you field test and all of that, right? Like, you guys hunt a certain way, we hunt a certain, generally speaking, right? And so, yeah, we definitely want to.
If you could really put a camelback in it, Tyler mainly just gets done walking and doesn't ever shoot anything, so that would help him out.
I have water pouches. It's all right.
So there's certainly things, and then there's also product opportunity expansion. Not just enhancements or pouches and accessories. So yeah, I certainly there's things in the queue and on the list that we want to expand. So
do you guys find that, I guess I would call it the retail market, and you can correct me if I'm wrong there, but do you find that the upland market is hungry for not only better equipment but more knowledge and info? Do you think that's coming down the pipeline? I think that's kind of why we came out with a podcast, and we hear some of that, but probably not as much as you guys would hear some of that feedback and what people really want.
Yeah, I mean, Stu, you can weigh in here as well. I certainly think so. And for me, I think a lot of that's just simply driven by, the generation by which we live in, right? I mean, it's just a different
dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, the millennial market is, they have discretionary income now, and they're exploring the things that, interest them. Upland, I believe, is one of those things. If you just look at the growth of the market, and they consume information differently than any generation before us, right?
Yep.
110%.
And so I think you're spot on. I mean, things like Project Upland,
Yep.
Some friends of ours, some guys that we know, at least, they started Try Upland recently, and it's it's a basically a community, with mentors, that the objective is to help people get into and integrate into the upland community, right? And some of those basic things, like, and they, I had an opportunity to help out there, and some of those things that like guys like us, I think we just probably take for granted that we just know, like it's been so long. Like
Yeah.
when you say a brushy draw, what do you mean? I mean, and I'm not, like,
No, I know I know,
and when I get
100%.
when I get those questions, I'm like, wow, like, yeah, okay, hold on, I got to back way up,
Yeah.
like transitional cover, huh? It's
Yep.
like, oh,
Yep.
okay. And so like, the ability for them to go out and really pursue that type of information is what will grow our market, right? And then we have more podcast listeners, we sell more vests, we have, people that come out with new gear and different gear. And so it's just, I think you're right on. I think that's where we're headed.
I,
And
I think
It's a,
I think
it's a great
sorry.
community. Being able to influence people and have them reach out to you and know that you're making a difference. I think that's what it's all about. And Stu, go ahead and sorry
Yeah.
for
No,
interrupting there.
no, my apologies. I was just gonna kind of echo. I will say, obviously it's like society, a lot of times we're trying to label like these generations, and we talk about millennials, and I think one of the things specifically with millennials is like, if you think about that group, it's like they've had a device or been connected their whole life, like the first generation to really be connected like that. And what I say a lot of times about the uplands that's so good for me is it's like it's a reset for my soul. And I think a lot of this younger generation, younger than us, that they're finding this out. Like, why is, hiking, camping in the mountains, go climbing 14ers, why is going to the uplands so appealing? It's that disconnect from that constant notification numbness is what I call it. And, I'm in technology in my day job, so I can relate to it big time. But yeah, I think that one of the things that I kind of look at the upland, and this is just one of the things that I'm like kind of try to compare it to, and in the way that I see things going from from kind of ready to explode a little bit, is the fact that I don't know how many years ago, it's been like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, it's like, who used the term overlanding? It's like, oh, some dudes that were just like would go camp and had some Jeeps or whatever, Land Cruisers, and nobody used that term that I can recall. And then all of a sudden, like, if you mention overlanding today, everybody knows what overlanding is. And it's like, you're talking about all these manufacturers and these products to support the journey. And, kind of just, so I kind of see upland as like it's regaining strength,
Yep.
and kind of, people are being introduced to it for the first time. What is this type of hunting? So I don't know. I feel we're primed to kind of
Exciting.
explode into new realms. Yeah, that's the way I see
Yeah.
it.
And about the millennials, my daughter is almost 2 years old, and we have I don't even know what the hell it's called, Amazon Fire tablet freaking deal. She knows how to turn it on, and then she knows what she wants to watch looks like, and she knows if she keeps pushing enough, it'll play. Like, she's not even 2 yet.
It's
And
wild,
it's
man.
like, Jesus. At that age, I mean, I was just puking on myself yet.
No, it's just a different, and you just, you think about it, like it's like everything, gone are the days of maps, like it's on X.
Yep.
It's just
Yeah.
all of that has changed, right? Like, go and try and find like a paper, walk-in
Snake.
hunting access map now. It's like, God, that used to be just like every time you went on an upland hunt, you stopped at Cabela's or whatever, right?
Yep.
And so it's just, to your point, right? It's just different and it's evolving, and so it's exciting, right? I mean, change brings about, change can definitely bring about a lot of good things. So
Yep. Yeah, the technology coming to the market for upland is just the beginning of it, and obviously social media helps grow that, and then just the companies. I mean, it's crazy. You talk about the maps, and a guy in investigations that I worked with, he's close to retirement, and big bird hunter. He's gone to South Dakota many years, and he had one of his plot maps, I think is what they called them, right? Plat maps,
Yeah.
whatever they were. But he had that thing marked up where he found birds. He had a journal with dates on it, temperatures, wind, and it's like, man, now, like you said, you go to OnX, put a pheasant pin down, and you can put in what the weather was that day. I mean, it's the same thing, but just
Automatically
literally right on
there.
your phone, and I'm like, man, I mean, he had just a journal full of all of his hunts.
Probably decades,
Yeah,
like
and
Right.
he had all the fields named, whatever they named them. And I was like, man, that's crazy. And they'd go there and they'd bring it with them every year. And if they found another good spot, mark it down, and every hunt was calculated with, I'm like, man, you just got, like you said, that on one little device, and there it is.
So it's really impacted my hunting in terms of, I watch Tyler and I share an Onyx app, and he'll post on there, saw a ton of birds, didn't get any, missed them all. So then I go back to that same spot and I limit out in like 15 minutes. So it's been good for me.
The cool thing about that though, Tyler, like you were saying about that guy, having that map is remarkable, right? Like you look at that and you're like, wow, holy crap. But it the ability to share that and help pull someone else in isn't there, or at least not nearly as easy. Well, like in fact, I had a couple of guys call me today that they'd heard we were out in the Panhandle and Southwest Kansas and hunting and all of that, and talked to them for a little bit, and they were asking me some questions, and I dropped them a couple of pens.
Yep.
Like that's how easy it is now for us.
You don't have to be like longitude, latitude, or
right.
Here's the streets. Yeah.
And I think that's super cool that you did that. Like people that want help, you're going to give them maybe not your best spots, but you're priming them to get into some birds, I'm assuming. That's what it's all about
for us, right? I mean,
that's what it's all about. And I love that. I freaking love that.
Yeah. It's, someone took us, right? Somebody pointed us, something, right? Most likely the vast majority of us, I'll put it that way.
Yep.
Right? Not everybody had that hand reach down, but for those that didn't, it was probably more difficult. Probably harder. They had some more obstacles to overcome.
Yep.
So I think it's on us. I'm a big believer in getting kids out and taking them hunting and showing them what it's all about.
Yep.
So, and I would encourage everybody to do that.
Either one of you guys have kids?
I do. I have kids. I got a couple girls, and
I actually have a couple girls too.
Yeah, my youngest is pretty big into it. She's got a little Vizsla pup. She's training right now.
That's cool.
She's an 8th grader, and so she's part of the Hunt Ready crew. She goes out and hunts with us, and so that's pretty cool. And then Jerrod's a little bit further behind me. He got some younger ones.
Yeah, I guess we didn't figure out how to have kids till later on in life. So we got a 13-year-old and my daughter. She's a year behind Heath's youngest, and then we got a 6-year-old son and then a 3-year-old son, and they're firecrackers. So yeah, I mean, we're doing everything by the book over here in Soonerland. It's just, I keep telling people I'm trying to be mistaken for a grandparent at parent-teacher conferences, with my youngest. So,
oh, that's funny.
But I'm only 34, but everybody already expects me as a grandfather. My beard's already gray, my head's already gray. I told my wife we just had our most recent daughter December 16th, so I said I'm done. So I said everybody's gonna think that everybody always asks me if I'm already like 45. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done.
Wakes up quick. But,
that's funny.
How about you, Tyler?
No, I just got the 2 dogs. So maybe
he's got a woman too. Don't let him fool. He's been with her for like 20 years now. 5
Yeah.
years old, but he's been with her for a while.
Keep getting that pressure to put that circle thing on a finger.
Oh,
And, you know how that is. Comes a
do.
time when you got to do it, I guess. But
Yeah.
so give us one of you guys, each of you, give us a best hunt of this year that you can think of.
Yeah. So for me, sage grouse was on the, at least very high up on my list of targets, and had been for, 2-3 years now. And it had an opportunity, been planning that for about a year or so. And pretty cool. We were talking about social media and all that kind of stuff earlier. Jerrod and I ended up meeting at a pen in Wyoming. I don't know, Stu, there was probably 7-8 other guys there, maybe,
Yeah.
total. And they were all dudes that we had met through this, through
That's
Hunt
awesome.
Ready, through social media. And my brother went, of course, I've hunted with my brother, and Jerrod and I have hunted together, but everyone else there had never hunted together. Amazing trip. Just had an amazing time. We were in the backcountry, just popped tents, camped.
Really? Popping tents in the back? Oh man.
It was epic. It really was. Like now it's Jerrod, he's good in the office with the filing cabinet, so it was a little rough for him, right?
Yeah.
but just the adventure, right, of it, and the opportunity to connect with a bunch of really good dudes, share stories around a campfire, and hunt sage. Everybody on the trip, it was their first time to bag sage grouse, and I don't know, going through that and experiencing something like that with a group of guys, and it was a lot of fun. That's my answer.
That's incredible.
Wyoming sage.
That's super incredible. That's awesome. I'm jealous.
Well, I'll share a pin. So
yeah.
Hit me up.
Yeah, let me know when you're going out there. We'll head out.
Sounds good.
I will say that was a pretty epic trip, even though like everything went wrong on that trip for me. I mean, honestly, it was kind of curious, like on the way in, legit guys, I'm not kidding. We come in, don't ever trust Google Maps. Like I've learned that. Otherwise you'll end up pulling an enclosed trailer across 2-track and up the side of a mountain to get to camp. And
yeah, Google Maps and 2-tracks
it's just pure. You'll start doing some stupid stuff and frustration sets in. So there might have, it was just wild. But anyways, we're the sun's going down. We're on this 2-track, and I kid you not, we come around this corner, and I look out and I said, and there was 2 guys in my truck with me, and I said, boys, those are sage grouse right there. And it's kind of one of those deals, like such a awesome bird to get to hunt, and they just talk about the levels being low and how long you're going to get to hunt them and all that kind of stuff. And so I hop out of the truck and I'm just like, man, I'm curious. I literally get up to these birds like 15 yards. I'm not even making this stuff up. I think one of my other buddies has got it on, like,
it's on video
iPhone. And I'm like, dude, these birds are feeding. They could care less. I'm not sure that they've ever seen a human before. Like, honestly, like I go up and it's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna make them flush. So I'm having this like internal debate. It's like I just drove like 17 hours. I could get my limit like right here, show up at camp, and I was like, hey guys, what took so long? Like I've got this story all planned it. Like, no, I can't do that to my dogs. I can't do that to myself. So we go make it to camp, whatever. And the next morning I wake up, I've got vertigo. Like I've been to the mountains. Like we were at 8,000 feet. I mean, I've climbed a 14er and camped at base camp at 11,000 feet or just under, just right at the tree line. Never had a problem with any altitude sickness. Walked around for 2.5 days, just like trying to throw my guts up constantly and try to hunt these birds. And so the reason why it doesn't necessarily, it's epic, but it's not epic, is I drove all the way to Wyoming and never fired a shell. never got a bird after that. Like, we saw birds, but they were skittish and flushing crazy wild, and dogs.
Now here's the reality, guys.
Okay, here we go. Now
Oh
we're gonna hear
goodness, you
There we
sound
go.
like Nick. He always
Yeah.
has something to say.
We don't know if he actually fired shots or not. Like, he didn't bag a bird. Like, that's the
didn't
reality,
bag a bird.
right? So
Yeah, I know that. I know what shit you're talking about there. I'm like, Tyler probably shot 6 times and never got a fucking thing. He just
I only
saying
hope-
nothing happened.
So to say, like, I think the best trip of the season though is we've just, Heath and I and 2 other guys, we've gone to South Dakota every year for, like, I don't know, 10 years straight or something like that. I'm losing track of how many years, but
it's been a decade at least. Yeah.
it's just always one of those trips that you mark it on the calendar. You're with guys that you know, and then the guys that we meet up with in South Dakota, it's like, we've all basically become brothers and almost like a family, just an extended family, and we all just look forward to it. And so it's just a great time, and obviously love to go chase some pheasants, and it's just, there's the birds, there's always just strong numbers of birds, it seems like, so the dogs
And
are always getting in good work, so just
It's
love
not
it.
even about how many birds you get. Like,
Right.
this is how I feel
Right.
when we go. For me, it's about seeing the dogs work,
Yeah.
being with the guys, and then the experience of checking out different fields, finding different terrain. If you have a great day, that's great. I'm still going to drink beer. If I don't have a great day, I'm still going to drink beer. So at the end of the day, it's a pretty good day. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, that is a fun trip, man. And like Jerrod said, like, we, know, just over a period of 10 years, right? I mean, you knock on doors and you run into people at the little cafe. Now they kind of know us and they give us
Yeah.
crap when we walk in, and and you get some farmer that comes over and starts shooting the bull, and you end up buying him a beer or two, and he's like, you guys from Missouri, you're all right. I've got an 80 over here you can hunt, or like that stuff. Like Jerrod was saying, I don't know, it's just pretty cool, over time to
build that relationship.
That happened to us this year. So we went out scouting, found some ground, fantastic ground. Guy said it hasn't been hunted all year, and I was like, what? Let us hunt it. We ended up getting our limit. We ended up going back the next day. We took him some Iowa deer sausage, some booze, went in and just just showed him all sorts of respect, like I'm sure you guys do as well. I sent him a Christmas card, all that stuff. But I get up to his door and I'm knocking, hey, we just want to say thank you. Did you want any of the birds? We shot this many off your property, yada, yada, yada. You got that many off my property? Really? I didn't even know there was that many down there. Yada, yada, yada. Well, I tell you guys what, I got another place back behind here. If you just want to drive through my field and through my farm back here, and you go back through this gate. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah, go on back there. It's like, all right.
But it is those little things though, like, and I, it's something that I think people, you that's not lost,
lost
on
art.
us, certainly, but like, we take some jugs of Missouri honey up there, and like,
Something from your state.
yeah, it's just like, my cousin is one of the guys that always goes with us on that trip, and his business made some, like, blaze orange hats one year or whatever, and we took some up there, and man, sure enough, we show up and those guys are wearing them.
That's
like,
awesome.
it's just, but like, it's that relationship, and people have to. The reality of it is, I've heard, how do you guys get that access? Like, how can we, well, you got to invest time, and you have to build those relationships. Aren't just an immediate thing, to your point. Right? You send a Christmas card, and so we make calendars up sometimes with some of the pictures that we shoot while we're there, and send them a calendar, and it's, again, it's not like it's a bunch of money, it's not,
No.
and
It's just
and
appreciation.
yeah,
It's really what it is.
And
Treat
they've
people
even,
like you want to be treated. I mean,
Yeah.
bottom line.
one of the cool things that we started doing with those guys up in Dakota, they've opened their house up at this point, right? And we're like, well, hey, like we need to pay, we need to pay you like whatever we would pay the hotel or whatever. And we're not, long story short, like they have just started taking that money and making a donation to the local Pheasants Forever chapter.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's pretty cool, like when you think about how that circle works like that. And so I guess just trying to encourage people out there that might be listening, like that's the key, man. It's those, it's just to Jerrod's point, treat people like you want to be treated, and
Build that relationship.
Build the relationships.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So, well, guys, we appreciate your time tonight. Again, thanks for coming out with an awesome vest. We love it in the fields. And again, thanks for coming on. Don't want to take any more time, but definitely appreciate it. And again, good luck in the rest of the season. I hear you got a couple weeks
left. Let's catch a hunt
left.
together sometime.
Yeah, certainly, guys. Thank you for the opportunity and the kind words. Really do appreciate it, and we certainly got to get together and dust some birds. So,
And if you ever want to just keep birds in your field, invite Tyler along for a hunt.
Hey, I'm good with the camera. I'll be the cameraman. I don't even have to carry you. You guys can take my birds.
You order up one of those vests, and we'll just have to hand deliver it. How's that?
Yeah, that's right.
I'll do that. Free place to stay. Stay at my house.
Cool.
Nice.
All right, look forward to it, guys. Thank you. Good luck.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Have a great
fellas.
night.
See ya. Bye.
Yes, sir. Take care.